It's 9 a.m. So welcome everybody to Zimtu's question period. I'll hand it over to Dave here shortly, but I just wanted to introduce who's going to be here for the meeting. So we have James Ferreira from Arctic Star and Lake Wind Resources. We have James Walker from Aries Strategic Mining, Scott Rose from Core Assets Corp, Justin Schroen from Commerce Resources. We have Chris Parr from Dimension 5, Stefan Bogner from Rockstone Research, Mike Hodge from Seville Resources, and we have Chris Noss from IMC International Mining. So welcome everybody, thanks for attending. And Mike, Dave will hand it to you.
Why don't you read the question?
Sure, yeah, okay, so we can just get right into it. We'll probably have a couple of people join a bit late, but that's okay. So the first couple questions, bit of a shorter meeting today, but the first couple questions will be directly for Zimtu. So the first one is, I'm a shareholder in Zimtu, and my question is, how do you intend to match the value of the shares to the intrinsic value of Zimtu Capital?
So first of all, a little explanation of what that question means. And I believe the gentleman is referring to the net asset value of all the stock we hold compared to the number of shares that are out. Scott Rose always does a calculation for me once a week, basically to say how far behind we are in terms of that difference. At the moment, there's about an 80-cent value of shares that we hold in other companies based on the close of business a couple days ago. So that would be on their last trade price, which gives you somewhat of an indication of where we're going. But I think the gentleman is referring to that spread. At the moment, in the current market and COVID conditions, I'm not too concerned about that. I'm quite focused on where we've been doing very well of late, is in the company creation and the new deal opportunities. That part of our business creates large share positions for Zimtu in those respective companies, and therefore allows us to focus on marketing them, which is certainly a big part of what Zimtu does. And I think that as the market, we come out of the COVID, the market turns around a little bit, you'll see a dramatic rise in all of those holdings we have. That should help increase the share price of Zimtu. That's kind of the overall plan.
Okay, great. So this question, I guess the next one will be pretty similar, but I'll give it to you anyways. Why are the company's shares not reflected in the intrinsic value or the share value? Is there only one risk left for me as a shareholder? How do you generate performance for shareholders?
So basically, most of that question was the same as the first question, so I've already answered that once. And the last line was what? Oh.
How do you generate performance for shareholders?
Well, Zimtu will continue to be a strong marketing force, both for its individual member companies and for itself. We're just going to continue that program until it catches on a bit more.
Okay, great. Now the last question here for Zimtu. I've been considering investment in Zimtu and or Pine Tree Capital. Pine Tree has a market capital at 79.5% of fair market value of assets. How does Zimtu compare? Can we answer that question?
What was the last line? What was the percentage thing?
79.5% of fair market value of assets. Now I know Scott was handling this question as well.
Yeah. So this is Scott here. Right now, Zimtu has a 28% of market value on its price.
Okay, great. So that answers it directly.
So
great.
it's a lot more attractive than Pine Tree.
Now, Scotty. One of my company policies is that we don't try and promote based on degrading somebody else's. Scott came very close to the line there. So I was just pointing that out.
All right, and before we move on to the next question, that was the last one for Zimtu. I'll just give a quick update. There's a couple questions in the chat. For the first one, Emerita and David Gower unfortunately weren't able to attend this question period, but we have shared the questions with him. So look for next new question periods upcoming for him to attend. As well, I believe they have had a news release today, so you can check that out, see if that helps answer. As well, Zincate, Ron McDonald wasn't able to attend either. I'm not sure, Dave, if you could provide any update on that or not. If not, we'd be happy to forward that question over to them as well.
Oh, sure. The Zincate battery was delivered to the Surrey, and I hate to call it a house because it's more of an estate. It was delivered on time. It is sitting on the pad in its container and being hooked up by the third party, the house builder, essentially. And so it won't be online immediately, but it's ready to go. We've done our part.
Great, perfect. So I don't see Arctic Star, James Farrar, or Pat here. Dave, are you able to give any update on Arctic Star? Did you want me to? We can also forward that off to them.
Well, certainly, and we can follow up with that question, them not being here, but Zimtu has a very large position in Arctic Star, and so I follow it quite closely. And they are currently in discussions to try and negotiate their way into a drill program on their diamond property.
Okay, great, perfect. So we do have another emailed question in, this one for James Walker of Aries Strategic Mining. James, welcome. Couple of questions in one, I guess, here. So hello, how many employees do you have? Who owns the property? I'll break it up. There's a couple questions here from the same person. So how many employees do you have and who owns the property?
Well, currently at the moment, I think our engineering team ballooned to about 7. I think if you include all management and you exclude board, it's about 15 at the moment. We've got about 15 people working on design, mine works, equipment design, plant design, engineering, processing, metallurgy, things like that. About 15.
Great.
Who owns the property? We own the property. There's 2 parts of it. There's the industrial estate in Delta, Utah. It's about 10 acres of industrial land with warehouses and rail spurs running through them. We own that. And there's about 2,000 acres of claims over the Spore Mountain, the Fluorspar Range, and we own all of those too. Including all the mine permits and environmental permits, reclamation permits, all that sort of stuff.
Perfect. All right, and then same person here, 2 other questions. Are you producing any product, and what is your cost to profit ratio?
So the mine was producing metallurgical grade fluorspar for steel mills, but that's had to be shut down while we're doing all of this expansion work. That's going to go back online once the new plant is delivered, because it's going to be a new product line. So it won't be producing until later in this year. What was the other part of the question?
What is your...
Oh yeah, it was a profit margin, right? Well, beforehand on metallurgical grade, that was selling for about $330 a ton. And I think the costs of that were somewhere in the region of about $50–60 a ton for that. But once we go back into production, we're doing several thousand tons of acid spar. Then you'd be looking at a difference between cost and selling of about $300.
At this point, maybe I could just make a couple of comments. And the first would be to ask Chris Parr for an update on Dimension 5. Where are we at there, Chris?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so in December, kind of mid-December, we submitted our listing statement to the exchange. We're in communication with the exchange. Now that they're back from holidays, I'm sure that's going to ramp up. We've decided to raise a bit more money before going public. So we're just in the process of finalizing those terms. So we should have that momentarily. And that's essentially it. I mean, we extended another 150 grand loan to Adiro so that they can continue working, and they're making really great progress. But yeah, it will be a situation where we're just communicating with the exchange, completing the financing and any other requirements that are necessary, and hopefully getting this back trading soon. So I'll have more updates on the financing and what that looks like very, very soon here.
Thanks, Chris. Good job, by the way.
This is Dave Nickerson. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear you, Dave?
Okay, my question was to Justin.
Yep.
Could he give us a little bit of an update on Zambezi, which I understand is going to be. I understand.
Oh, you ambushed me there. I'm in the commerce box. Dave, can I hope you don't mind? I'm going to defer that question to the Zambezi representative on this call, who also happens to be my brother, my less handsome brother, Matthew Schrun, Vice President of Zambezi. There's a great deal to tell, and since I'm in the commerce box, I'll ask Matt to take the floor. Nope. No. I'm sorry, Matt doesn't actually have a mic on his phone. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
So in summation, we have now closed off the seed round, the founders round with Zimtu very successfully. And we now, Dave, have the seed round open. It is an extremely attractive deal, 5 cents, with a full warrant for 6 months at 10 cents, and of major importance, 15 cents over 18 months. So 1.5 years from the time of the warrant being issued. Things are moving extremely quickly. We have been in discussion with what we call Big Sports, but which is now called Tahi Sport France, the #1 board production facility on planet Earth. We were in discussions with them right up to Christmas Eve. We are waiting now for a summation of the work ahead that they're going to present to us. There will be 3 stages: the industrial redesign of the board for mass production, the production of the mold itself, in which we now know we will get 2 boards for every mold, ramping up production and lowering costs dramatically. Step 3, the production of the first 500 Zambezi boards out of the big factory in Vence, France. Those boards will be sent en masse to the strategic location that we choose first. It may be Europe, but it may be the Bahamas, depending on how this COVID situation obviously unfolds. One last thing. So Dave, I will get you the subdocs ASAP. One thing I can tell everyone is that the COVID situation has caused an explosion in the outdoor recreation market, and that is not an exaggeration. Bicycle sales are stratospheric. Pedal sports sales are through the roof. They can't keep up. Why? People need to get exercise and they want to get out in a way that they can outdoors. It could not possibly be a more perfect time for Zambezi to be launched. That's it.
Thanks, Justin. We do have a question here from David Petch. So David, I see you there. Thanks for coming. So this, David, Hodge, you could probably answer this one. What is the expected share price value that you think Zimtu should be at when we hit a commodity bull market in a few years? How advanced will many of your projects be at?
A good question. Certainly one that I think of from time to time, sometimes coming out with a different answer than the last time. However, certainly with a rising commodity market, that the old saying that a rising tide lifts all boats, that effect will be extremely positive for Zimtu because we have such a diverse holdings in the different companies. But the other major factor is for one of our companies that we hold a large position in, which include quite a few of them. You know, if Arctic Star were to drill and hit a diamond mine, oh my gracious, because we own over 10 million shares of that company that were acquired over a fairly long period of time at a quite attractive price. So we're in a strong position there. Certainly, Zinc8 is one of our companies that we have both a large position and that global opportunity in Zinc8 is certainly something that could change Zimtu's reality. For me to speculate on what the share price is going to be in 2025, that's, you know, kind of go to jail stuff. If I told you what I really think, it would be contrary to the BC Securities Commission and a variety of other regulatory bodies, but certainly the rising commodity market and the potential for one of our major holdings to have a discovery. Certainly Dimension 5 is on track with a global style opportunity. You know, we have a large position in Zambezi, and you know, I think one of the criteria I always go by when I'm deciding where to deploy our resources is the management team, because no matter what the opportunity is, you need to have the right management team, and certainly with my guidance, of course. Zambezi has all of that. Justin and his brother, Justin working for Commerce, but his brother working for Zambezi, it also works out of our office here in Vancouver. So there's lots of interaction between me and the Zambezi crew and a variety of other people that have a tendency to be in and around our office. I don't, really want to miss anybody out. Aries has certainly been on a tear of late, and their aspirations to get into production and start making money certainly could have a dramatic effect on their share price. So it's a great time to be involved with Zimtu. It's a great time. Well, certainly it is a nice time for me now that we may have weathered the downturn in the market and the COVID thing all in one go here. And if we look forward to a turnaround in the market, that certainly is making my life a little bit easier.
Okay, great. So there's a couple more detailed questions here. So the share price in 2010 was over $1 and then it cratered. What was the reason for this? How many companies are currently under management? And this is his first time examining this, and he's looking to take a position. So further due diligence here.
It's always a tough question to say how many companies are under management by Zimtu, but the real answer is only Zimtu. Zimtu's influence on each of the other companies varies considerably, as does our share position. Certainly, I'm not here to dictate to any of our Zimtu holdings in terms of, I can't run all these companies at the same time, so I have to rely on the management of each of those companies. Certainly, you can well imagine I do get my say. I just don't necessarily always have a vote, but I have quite a large voice. What was the rest of that question?
So how many companies are currently under management Zimtu? I mean, you kind of answered that one. I can refer you as well to the website under our core equity holdings. You can see the majority of the companies there. Not all of them are technically under management, but quite a few. If you have any questions, again, feel free to email us and we can give you more specific answers on kind of detailed things like that. Now, same here from David. Let's see. So pellet bed nuclear reactors are going to be the future requirement for being able to supply the grid required electrical needs if we electrify the auto industry. Any thoughts on trying to get a company going? I'm thinking of trying to see if any company could do this in Manitoba. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's not something that I've completely ignored, but on the other hand, it's not something I've done a lot of work on. The point that there is going to need to be changes to the electrical grid because of the increased demand that the electric vehicles are going to put on the electrical grid. Of course, I don't want to turn your question around on you, buddy, but the answer to that problem is zinc 8. Zinc 8 on a global basis. It's pretty exciting. But if you want to send me some information, I'd be happy to look at it and see if there's some way we could get involved or take advantage of that opportunity.
Great. So I think that ends the question here. I think this was just a bit of an answer for the reason for one of these questions here, Bob. So if anybody has any other further questions, this is your time. Feel free to put it in the chat. You can ask it right now, or if you prefer, you can also email us. I'll put the email in the chat box now. So I'll just give you guys a minute if you do any last minute questions here. It doesn't look like it.
Would it be possible for me just to give a swift update on commerce, what is happening right now, which is an important time?
Yes, of course, Justin.
As you see behind me, this is the fluorospar sample that was sent to Glencore. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that name, but to the large end user, to their facility in New Orleans for analysis. It's 98% pure as acid spar. Many of the impurities have been suppressed as per Glencore, well, the company's requirements. Now we will enter a stage of back and forthing to see if they will actually commit to the project. If not, there are many others that are in line. Secondly, our successful financing. I'm sorry Chris isn't here to take the credit because it was a Herculean task that he accomplished. We raised more than 5 million. We are well funded to achieve the objectives that we set out, which is the delivery of concentrate samples to 3 United States majors. The fact that they're asking for concentrate is very important because we are focused on oxides. The fact that they are asking for concentrates means that they have come further upstream, closer to us, meaning that they can take what we can already make. We have enough money to do that. There are 3 of them. That will be happening over the next couple of months. And in tandem to that, the pilot plant will be restarted, and it will commence the production of the oxide samples for the large European companies like BASF, Solvay, etc. So it's the next 3 months for Commerce will be pivotal, and I would invite you all, any of you, to get in touch with you with any questions. Chris will be back shortly, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Great. Now we do have one question here. It's 2025. What does the future hold for Zinc 8?
That's another go to jail question, that one. The opportunity for Zinc 8 is so large, and truly the attention that we received from the New York Power Authority has truly changed how the big companies view us, and are interested in what we can provide. And that's really on a global basis. Senior companies are realizing the advantage that Zinc 8 can provide in a whole variety of ways, including one-off applications for industry to regulate their electrical use from the daytime expensive power to the nighttime cheap power. That behind the meter is a significant market. To have the ability to level the grid from where it's being generated to where it's being consumed essentially means that infrastructure can carry twice as much power. So no matter how the electricity is generated, from hydro to nuclear to solar, wind, whatever, the Zinc 8 battery is going to be able to level that grid and show you how solar power can light the night.
All right, so that's it. If there's no more questions, I want to thank everybody for attending. I've put the email for Zimtu in the chat. If you do have any further questions, feel free to email us directly. And other than that, everybody, thank you for attending, and have a great day.